Hello again, everybody. Let's try round 2 of this video. I apologize, I was on for a minute and then our internet dropped. Gotta love technology. It's forcing me to be flexible and not stress. There's things that you cannot control, and Wi-Fi is one of them. So I apologize for getting started a little late today, but I am Dr. Monica. I am one of the chiropractors here at Revival Chiropractic. We specialize in pediatric, prenatal, and family wellness care here in downtown Stillwater. I am super excited that you are joining me today. I know that I'm throwing a little bit of a wrench in the routine. We have typically done our webinars on Tuesdays, but I'm changing it up and doing it on Thursdays. So I appreciate you being here today. So looking back on some of the topics that we've covered this month, we're focusing a ton on things that kids struggle with, especially when they are going to school or they're trying new activities in the summer. So we talked about ADD, ADHD, fatigue, and exhausted kids. That's a common issue that we see. Today we're going to be talking all about emotional regulation. And then future casting on next Thursday, I'm also going to be talking about sensory processing. So if any of those seem of interest to you, you can always look back and watch our past recorded webinars on our Facebook page, or you can sign up for our future ones if you want to stay in the loop with those. But let's just jump right into our big emotions, meltdowns, anxiety. So this is a huge concern that parents have, is the emotional regulation ability that their kids have. So did you know that emotional outbursts are the most common reason that parents seek out support, help, or counseling? That's crazy. And we hear it all too often from our parents. We hear that their kid is on edge, they're nervous, they're anxious all the time. Unfortunately, they hear from teachers or peers, or if they go to a summer camp, that they tend to be the difficult one. They get easily distressed, or they even are described as explosive. They are either on or they're off. We also hear that they're super emotional. There is no go with the flow or flexibility with these kiddos. They love their routine, and if it's not in routine, hold on, it's going to happen. The meltdown, the explosive, the big emotions, the anxiety. It's definitely not fun for the kiddo or the family involved. Also, emotional regulation in general is a challenge. It's hard to know what's coming next. They may be completely content in the moment, and then the next second they're not okay with what's happening, and we get into meltdown. When we're in those situations, you feel like no matter what you say, no matter what you do, you cannot calm your kiddo down. They are just full meltdown mode. You just have to let it run its course. That is so hard as a parent, that you are trying everything, you're doing everything. You could be at home, you could be in public, no matter what you do, calm is not going to happen in that moment. That is so challenging. So that's why today I really want to dig deep into what's going on, some steps to bring calm into your life and into your kiddo's life, and then action steps that you can take to really help your kid with that emotional regulation. So a big question we get is, well, my kid has temper tantrums, but what's the difference between tantrums and a meltdown? Like, how am I supposed to know which they're having? There's some pretty big distinct differences between a tantrum and a meltdown. So a tantrum is considered to be much more mild. Your kid still has some control over their emotions. So they're able to calm themselves, and their behaviors are not as extreme either. It also seems to happen that when a kiddo is having a tantrum, that if you don't pay attention to it, they stop on their own because they're attention seeking in that moment. Well, meltdowns are drastically different. When there is a meltdown happening, and I'm sure if you've experienced this as a parent, that you totally understand where I'm coming from when I say this, your kid has completely gone off the charts. There is no more emotional control. They are not controlling their behaviors. It's almost like their brain and their body are completely disconnected. And these are the moments that no matter what you say, no matter what you do, you cannot get them to calm down. So you have learned to just let it run its course. They will wear themselves out, and then the meltdown will end. That is so challenging because it can happen anywhere, anytime, and you know that it's not their fault. They cannot regulate what is going on, and it just comes out in this very explosive way. Well, what we've learned is that anxiety is the most common trigger for meltdowns, big emotions, and outbursts. So it can be triggered by so many things as well beyond anxiety. It can be ADHD, that they have trouble focusing, that there's depression involved, a sensory processing concern. So they're taking in way too much input from outside and it's overwhelming. So it comes out as an explosive behavior. Or just emotions internally, like they have irritability or something along those terms. So if your kiddo gets overwhelmed easily, or if they're in class and they're struggling to pick up something that they're learning, or if they're at a day camp and they're gonna go try something new, well, instead of asking for help or explaining how they're feeling, internally their body takes it as a threat and creates this internal explosion. Well, the thing is that when a kiddo tends to have these emotional regulation concerns, their body actually gets addicted to that explosive response because it has learned that that's a way to release whatever is going on instead of internalizing it and having it cause further issues and damage internally. So when this is happening, truly your kid is seeking safety and calm from the outside sources, but they just don't know how to trigger calm and safety in their own bodies. So that is where learning how to calm yourself, your family, and kiddo is critical. So I'm gonna dig into some techniques to bring calm into your body. So if you've ever been on an airplane, they tell you that you must put your oxygen mask on before you help anybody else. Why is that? If you don't help yourself, you're not going to be able to help others. So you need to learn how to demonstrate calm yourself. When your kiddo is on the verge of a meltdown, a big emotion, or they have anxiety, that is not the time to send your kiddo to the room or to their bedroom. It's not the time for you to remove yourself from the situation. That's the time that you need to sit next to your kiddo and demonstrate what calm looks like. So you need to know how you're responding to what is going on in that situation. So you need to have a calm voice, speaking softly, slowly, and gently, and being very mindful of how you're talking to them. You need to have a calm body. Are you sitting there with your arms crossed, looking frustrated, tapping your foot, rolling your eyes, frustrated? Or are you sitting there, shoulders down, relaxed, hands open, arms unfolded, approachable? You need to have a calm face. So not clenching your jaw, not furrowing your brows, scowling. Be there and have a very relaxed face, calm jaw. Represent what you want them to be like. Sitting nicely, breathing, calm. Kiddos mimic you if you know it or not. So if you're sitting there showing them what calm is like, they'll feel that sense of safety and calm in that situation, and their body will naturally start to diffuse that explosion that's going on internally. The second thing is, with that calm voice, is being very mindful of what they're actually feeling in that moment. So acknowledge and connect to the emotion that they're having. When kids are in that heightened emotional state, their logical brain actually completely shuts off. So if you start rationalizing with them on why you're doing something and the logic behind it, they are not hearing it. They are in a completely emotional state. So no logic is going to get through to them in that moment. So meet them where they're at. If they keep saying the same phrases to you, repeat what they're saying back. So you're having the worst day of your life. Your tummy hurts. Your head hurts. You don't want to go to daycare today. it's okay to repeat it back to them, because then they know that you're listening and it's more calm and accepting, and then they understand, okay, they are hearing my emotion. And most of the time you can get to the root emotion, which may be anxiety, or that they don't understand something that they're learning in school and it makes them feel bad. This is a critical time that you can really learn a lot about what's going on internally with them. The third thing that we've heard time and time again is routine is huge with these kiddos, especially if you know that anxiety is a really top concern for them. So if something is changing in their normal day-to-day routine, like you're going on a trip, or you're going to try a new park, or you're going to a new place, talk them through about what they might experience when they're there. You may want to write it out, you may want to show them pictures, or just talk to them about it far enough in advance so that they have time to ask questions, emotionally process it, and really just dive into how they feel about trying something new. When they feel like they're prepared for what they're about to see or experience, that anxiety isn't going to be as overwhelming and isn't going to trigger that explosive behavior, because they have now felt like they know what to prepare for, which is huge. So you may wonder, why the heck is the chiropractor talking to me about this? Well, this really can go deeper than just emotional regulation. We have two systems, we have two sides of our nervous system. Well, our nervous system is literally what controls every single thing in our body and how we experience life. So every single one of our senses has to go and filter through our nervous system, which then gives input into our body, telling us what we're seeing, smelling, tasting, hearing, feeling. Super, super important. Well, our nervous system is also what is controlling every single organ, cell, tissue, gland in our body. So I would say that the nervous system is pretty dang important. But there's two sides to the nervous system. So we have the gas pedal, which is our sympathetic side, and our brake pedal, which is parasympathetic. Well, our gas pedal is what protects our body. So it puts us into that fight or flight state. So if you are at a park and you come across a mountain lion, you sure want to have all of the energy and adrenaline in your body getting ready to fight off this mountain lion or run from it. We also have that brake pedal, which is supposed to calm our body, send healing messages to our body, and also allow it to do all of the functions it needs to do, like digesting our food, fighting off any bugs that are invading our systems. Super, super important. We want to be balanced right between the two. However, we have seen a lot that kids that have that explosive behavior, that intensity, they have meltdowns, those kiddos are stuck on that gas pedal. So when their system is revved up, it makes it really hard for them to regulate anything in their body. So the nervous system is now stuck in this stressed out state. It changes how the body actually functions. It's taking the attention and the energy away from digesting, healing, resting, fighting off all these immune system things that are happening, and it brings it to a state of protection. So when that happens, you're getting these crazy messages into your brain that you need to protect your body, which sends crazy messages from the brain to the body saying, hey, like something's happening, protect the body, which sends your hormones off the charts. And then the emotions tend to follow that. And it's a vicious cycle. Your body just goes in this, I need to protect myself, crazy hormones, crazy emotions, protection. Hormones, emotions, protection. And you just get this deeper stress response happening in their bodies. So why do kiddos get stuck in this stress response is the next question that a lot of people have. Well, there's 3 different stressors that cause us to get stuck on the gas pedal. And those are our thoughts. So if your kiddo has anxiety, big emotions like depression or just this like hopelessness, confusion, how their relationships are is huge. So dynamic with friends, with family, with peers. Also, how they talk to themselves Do they say, oh, I'm the dumb one, or I'm not good at that, or this isn't for me? That's really hard self-talk to hear a little kid say. So it's super, super important that we're telling them to talk positively to themselves. And another one that can be a stressor is actually labeling. So when kids hear that they're the difficult one in class, or that they're disruptive, or that they're hard to manage, your kid is intelligent. They know what you're talking about, and they start to really take those labels to heart. So being really mindful of how you're describing your child is huge. The second stressor can be traumas. So how they entered this world with their birth experience, falls, bumps, bruises, accidents. If they're learning how to ride their bike, chances are they've fallen off their bike a few times. That it happens. But those microtraumas can build up and create bigger issues in the body. The last stressor is toxins. So anything you put on, around, or in your body. So foods, medications, what you eat, perfumes, all of that stuff can contribute to that. Well, when our body is overwhelmed with stress and it's already revved up because it's stuck on that gas pedal, your brain and mind are going to be revved up too. So when we have this perfect storm of things happening, that explosion is more likely to happen because we have shortened the fuse of what they can actually handle. So if they didn't have those three stressors, those thoughts, traumas, and toxins happening, their nervous system was balanced, and they didn't have a lot happening internally, and they could function like they were intended to, that fuse to get to that explosion is going to take a lot longer, and they have more time and capacity to handle what's happening in that moment. So that's why it's super important to figure out, how long is your kiddo's fuse? So that's where we come in. We do not guess when it comes to care in our office. We measure and know exactly what is going on in your child, if they have a short fuse, if they have a long fuse, if they're stuck on the gas pedal, how their system is functioning on that deeper level, so that we can really address the root issue on why your kiddo is going through this really intense emotional state, why emotional regulation is so challenging, and get them to go to a state of calm internally. So here are some action steps that I really encourage you to take control of. And these are things that are super, super easy to do and can have a huge impact on your kiddo and your family. So the first one I want you to do is practice your individual calm routine. So what does that mean? If your kid is going to mimic your sense of calm, you need to learn how to calm yourself. So when your kid is having a meltdown, I completely understand. It is sometimes mission impossible to figure out how to get yourself to a calm state. But this is something that is absolutely critical, because the better you are at calming yourself, the better your child will be able at calming themselves. So practice it. Try breathing techniques, try meditating, try figuring out if there's a mantra that you can say to yourself that will allow you to relax your face, body, and speak calmly to your child. The second one I want is to establish a routine system with your kiddo. So recognize and acknowledge and take action if you know that you're going to be doing something new, your kiddo is going to be doing something new, you're going somewhere different. This can really help prepare your kid on what to expect so that they don't have that anxiety or those preliminary emotions that shorten that fuse even further and keep them from having a big emotion, meltdown, or an outburst. And my last and final step, which is probably the easiest out of all of them, is to just bring your kiddo in to get scanned. If your kid is stuck on that gas pedal, they're going to be revved up all the time. So getting to that state of calm is going to be an uphill battle. And if you feel like you have tried it all, which most of the time, this is the last resort for people. They have tried therapy and medications and supplements and every behavior resource possible, and just nothing seems to happen. This might be the missing link that you've been looking for. So you owe it to yourself and your kiddo and your family to at least find out if this could be the missing link and why your kiddo is having such intense emotions. Because they need to know what it feels like to have control over what's going on internally. So I really appreciate you watching this webinar. If you do have any questions and I didn't answer something that you were curious about, please feel free to reach out anytime. We have our email listed in the bio of this video, as well as our phone number. So if you have any questions, seriously, give us a call. We are here to be a resource for you. And if you are ready to get scanned, all of the information is on there as well for you to set up that first appointment. I hope that this was really helpful. If you know somebody that has been struggling with this themselves, or if this just resonates with you, please feel free to share this with your friends, your family. This is something that we want this to be a resource for anyone and everyone. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next week when we are talking about sensory processing concerns. So thank you so much. See you next week.